Jon Zherka is off the heels, or the swept heels, basically, of the biggest fight loss that you could ever imagine. Basically, stonking a guy in this tiki-taki fellow who's like a swole Sneeko. And basically, Zherka was the one that was cunked. Now, he was on top at the end of the fight, but he obviously lost. He got slammed twice to the ground, and it was just really pathetic. But now we're going to be covering the Zherka cope cycle, where he basically tries to work his way out of this big L. Okay, so here we got a video starting off. So this is just the preamble, right? So this is just a week of Jon Zherka updates. So he basically goes and he's saying he's hunting Aiden Ross. And if you didn't know, the tiki-taki guy ostensibly is this 22-year-old half-black guy who's like very built, and he's a part of the Aiden Ross clique. And so Aiden Ross kind of gatekeeps who is in charge of Kick and who's on it and who isn't. Basically, Zherka got banned off of Kick for the record. And so if you look at this, obviously Aiden got him forward, and he had a ton of views. Basically, Zherka was going viral in this week because he was basically saying he was hunting people and all this. But as you can see here, he's accusing of smashing the sister of the HS guy, and so he's just generally talking a ton of shit. And we'll see what's going on here. He does a stream that he deletes later on, I think, and basically he's with the AK. He's really just threatening a lot of violence, so he talks a lot of shit. Can he back even a little bit up, though? Here he's saying that he fucked Pammy, who was the ex-girlfriend of Aiden Ross, you know, the first love, so to speak. And so now he's just saying that, oh, I smashed with your one-itis, and then he bitches that Aiden Ross is trying to blackball him. But you can kind of see why Aiden would try to blackball him, obviously. You know, Zherka's talking all this shit. Here, again, another semi-viral clip. This got over 130,000 views. You're talking about somebody in Zherka that accuses of the tiki-taki guy of being a transgender, just, again, talking shit, acting ignorant. This is the one that I'm referring to, the big one. 800,000 views. Zherka on HS tiki-taki. And that's a transgender woman taking testosterone. So he makes a lot of sus comments about him, obviously. He also nags about him having a dislocated arm again. But okay, so he's getting aggravated injuries. You see that he's losing the fight. The cope here is that even after falling twice, Zherka still managed to pin down HS with a bad shoulder and no sleep. Yeah, but here's the thing. Being on top of somebody is one thing, but clearly the HS guy, like by wrestling standards, had the leverage. If you look here, Zherka's not punching shit, for starters. Secondly, you look at how he had the legs going on here, and yeah, was it a fair fight? Kind of not, because obviously Zherka kind of had the shirt in a bind and whatnot. But at the same time, again, the HS guy apparently says that he's drunk, which is a bunch of shit, by the way. There's no way. But the other thing would be that he was wearing slippers and whatnot, and so that's a huge disadvantage when you're wrestling, or in a street fight even. So you get on the ground more easily if you're wearing slippers, so getting taken down by Zherka is not that much of a surprise, especially when you put into context that they were fighting on a sidewalk. So HS was assuming that he wasn't going to get pinned into oncoming traffic, and that's exactly what Zherka did, because he was playing desperate, obviously. And also the HS guy could have kicked Zherka while he was down, and he didn't. He let him get back up. Well, or sort of. Anyway, so he's taking a freeze frame, and he's saying that, oh, wow, look, HS is the new George Floyd. But in reality, when you look at it, it's more so like, dude, I'm not trying to fight you, like, shut the fuck up, what the hell is going on? Because Zherka was hunting this guy down, and so he didn't want the smoke. But then when it came to it, the HS guy actually won. But Zherka's trying to spin it as if, like, oh, I was on top once. But, like, realistically speaking, you could stab somebody, like a really fat guy in the gut, and he could fall on you. Oh, well, I landed on top, I win. It's like, no, you're dying, you're bleeding on my shirt. So anyway, you've got this going on. Heel might gets felted or something like that. I mean, we'll skip over that. Anyway, so if you look here, apparently Andrew Tate's dabbing on Zherka. I mean, it's really pathetic what's going on. And then Zherka's over here coping. What does he say here?
Mortal enemy tiki-taki. And they said, what does he do? Is he a tap dancer? I said, no, he taps like a bitch when he's on his back, but last night I was the tap dancer. Why are all my fights some freak shit happening to me? I'm slipping and shit. Like, you can see Tiki's punches have no, look at my face, right? Like, they don't do any damage at all. But when he yanked the shirt up, I was like, bro, I've been in so many street fights and I've never had a man fight like a black woman from World Stars.
So he's saying he's been in a ton of street fights that we haven't really seen, but that apparently nobody's tugged on his shirt. But I'm pretty sure he probably didn't even tug on the shirt, okay? Second of all, you jumped him, and so he has every right to play dirty at that point, right? Also, keep in mind that when it comes to, oh, you fight like a black chick, oh, your punches didn't do any damage, I think that is true, but you have to also consider that the HS guy wasn't really trying to hurt you. He was self-defending, and so, of course, he didn't, kick you while you were down. He could have just stomped on your neck or something, right? Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. So he posts a supportive tweet by some nobody Arab account. Zherka, I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm actually glad that HS lied to you about the cops and you stopped that mount. If you did not stop that mount and continued ground pounding him, he would have been deported. You would have been deported. So basically, Zherka saying that, oh, I quit while I was ahead because he was on top. But realistically speaking, he wasn't in control. He had the legs wrapped around. Zherka couldn't move his arms. Zherka was gassed out. Obviously, he's not. Zherka's big and he's kind of muscular, but he's also out of shape. If that makes sense. Like he has prime genetics, but he just doesn't work out. And when you don't work out, you gas out easily. So to say like, oh, I was on top, yeah, you would have been on top, and you would have been just like this. You would have been just like that, and he would have worked you eventually. Okay. Also, just because you flipped him over once isn't that impressive, because obviously Zherka has like 30 or 40 pounds over the Harry Sullivan guy, and so it's not the crazy thing. And here is Keemstar from Drama Alert kind of sweeping it up for Zherka, where he says, "Is Zherka the new king of Twitter trolls? Dude has been violating everybody on the timeline while still laying hands if needed. He's starting to reach Dylan Danis levels of trolling." Well, First of all, Dylan Danis was a clown at the end of the day, because yeah, he did troll Logan Paul really well, but he got destroyed. And so when the rubber hits the road, when the Chihuahua barks and then the pit bull comes, the pit bull bites the throat of the Chihuahua and throws it away, right? Okay. Yeah. The man begged Zherka to stop choking him. Okay, that's not really true. Insofar as like, oh, had I gone further, I would have gotten deported. I mean, you fighting him at all, like unprovoked, or stalking him, is just obviously trying to get him to kill you or trying to get him to deport you. And so for him to do this is just extremely stupid, because basically what had happened. Okay, look, this random girl says he's right though. Even if that fight plays out and he didn't show mercy, Zherka wins easily. And then this guy says wifey material. And so this is the cope cycle for Zherka. Basically, there's no salvaging this sort of thing. I mean, it's very obvious to me that he is just not physically capable of fighting people his own size. And so he goes against a guy who's like 30 pounds lighter than him, and he loses. In part because Zherka's kind of just like out of shape, out of it. 5 years ago when he was a bodybuilder, when he was on steroids, when he was a night bouncer or whatever, nightclub bouncer, you could have seen something more competent. But in this case, he's just simply too out of it. He's too coked up, and not in a good way. And so he's just falling off, and it's sad to see. But basically, Zherka coin is plummeting. I'm shorting it. Fuck it. How is he going to bounce back? I don't know. You could say like, oh, he could fight the same guy again and he'll win. Well, you know what? Why would that guy take up the fight? He already won. So there's no incentive. And if he's banned off a kick, what is he going to do? Go on Rumble? If he goes on YouTube, he'll eventually get banned, most likely, if he keeps on with this like, conspiracy talk and whatever else, which is too bad, obviously, because I like his content. But if he can't back up what he says, then it's too bad. I'll see y'all in the next vid.